Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Caw. I'm delighted tonight to be joined by Record Sports Michael Gannon and Keith Jackson, otherwise known as Jack and Victor. For everyone listening, they were just regaling us with tales about how they've hurt their back so much recently. They're getting
Carrying you.
I walked right into that one, didn't I?
Yep.
How's it going, guys?
All right, Daniel, it's been quite quiet, hasn't it, the last couple of nights? Not got too much to get our teeth into. I think tonight is about to change for one reason or another.
Well, Mick is obviously joining us live from Celtic Park. Brendan Rodgers has had his pre-Braga press conference, which we'll come to. But as you say, Keith, Rangers probably the best place to start. A new appointment as head of recruitment.
Yeah, and they've obviously scoured the length and breadth of European game to find this one, or Kevin Thelwell's back room. Is his son Robbie Thelwell, 26-year-old, has just been appointed as head of recruitment, which is quite a number at Rangers, and as part of a shake-up of the sort of managerial structure. I believe that another recruit is coming in, Nathan Fisher as head scout will come into the structure. He comes from Everton, so yeah. Kevin Thelwell obviously was at Everton. His technical director, Dan Purdy, he was at Everton. Nathan Fisher was at Everton, and Robbie was playing Xbox in the back room. Listen, I've got to be honest with you. I am absolutely gobsmacked by this. And I'm struggling to see the logic in it, because at this moment in time, it feels like blatant gaslighting of the Rangers support. I've been saying on this show for some time that Kevin Thelwell isn't part of the solution. He's probably part of the problem. But the Rangers fans took aim. When they took aim at Patrick Stewart and Russell Martin. So purely, and I'm just trying to work it out, why Kevin Thelwell would make an appointment like this and put himself front and centre in the blast zone, because the Rangers fans are going to react horribly to this. And by the way, let's not forget, with the Everton links, they've spent £8 million, possibly rising to £10 million on a striker that has forgotten how to score goals. This stinks. It fails every possible smell test. And unless Robbie Thelwell is about to produce the next Lamine Yamal and get him for 500 grand, I honestly, you know, my first instinct in this, and I know this will be wrong, but it's so silly. It's so badly thought out. It almost feels as if people are now just digging their heels in and waiting to get a payoff. It feels as if they're deliberately trying to antagonise a support which is already beyond breaking point, and now they're making appointments which, as I said, they just do not pass the smell test. Look, if you want to look at a club that's been badly run in terms of recruitment in England's Premier League over the last while, you'd look no further than Everton. You look no further than the amount of money that's been spent there and the trials and tribulations they've had in order to try and keep themselves in the Premier League. Everton are no model for how to run a football club in the modern day. They're a model of how not to do it. And Kevin Thelwell, I mean, why he was appointed in the first place, I do not know. But now he's filling his whole kind of management structure with people that have been at Everton and his son. And, you know, giving Everton the best bit of £10 million for a striker who couldn't get a game at Everton and who they signed for 15. They won't be able to believe their luck when they did that deal, when that deal came to the table. £10 million for a striker. They paid, 12, whatever it was for in the first instance, that couldn't get a game, hasn't scored a goal. And you add all that into one big picture, and if Rangers fans aren't tearing their hair out with this tonight, I'll be astonished.
Well, before we bring you in on that, Mick, we have got some Rangers fans who have let us know precisely what they think. And if you're watching at home and you want to let us know your thoughts, please do so. We'll try and read them out. A lot of strong opinions here, Keith. Let me run through a few of them. John says, I'm stunned at the appointment of Thelwell Jr., but I shouldn't be really. The club is full of imposters. Nathan says, Kevin Thelwell, ex-Everton, Purdy, ex-Everton, Fisher, ex-Everton, Robbie Thelwell, Thelwell's son. What are the chances a thorough recruitment process identifies 3 former Everton employees and the sporting director's son as the best candidates for the job? Serious question, need asked now.
Dan, I'm going to come in there, right? And here's
ahead.
the thing, and this is where, and I've accused the Rangers board of acting with real arrogance, bordering on disdain towards their own support. Over the period since the takeover was completed, and these guys come in and they told you anything that walked, talked, or kicked a ball for 30 seconds anywhere in England would be an upgrade on anything that is already north of the border. Mm-hmm. But that level, that comment about questions needed. Do they really think that the Rangers support are just going to sit back and go, "Oh, brilliant guys, well done"? They're going to be held up to scrutiny. This is where it makes no logical sense to me. They're not daft guys. They must know this. They must know there's going to be a furious reaction to this. It'd be a different matter if everything they'd done so far had turned to gold and Rangers were sitting top of the table and Russell Martin was a masterstroke, and then maybe you could sneak an appointment like this. A 26-year-old boy, by the way, because that's what Robbie Thelwell is. He was what they call a video scout at Norwich. What does that mean? He watched YouTube vids, showreels. He then became a scout and in charge of loan management. He's held kind of low-level scouting positions at Villa and Wolves. On what basis does that CV qualify him to become head of recruitment at Rangers Football Club when they've been talking about building a business model based on player trading? The ability to pick up players at a knockdown fee, a couple of £1 million, and sell them for 10 times that. On what basis? And all the best to the boy. I hope he's really good. There is no basis. Nobody's going to come on here tonight and tell me, yes, here's why. Here's a logical reason why you make this appointment. And I saw, in reports about this is the end of a thorough recruitment process in which they've, been looking for best in class. Best in class? As I said, I'll come back to it. They are now in front of your very eyes gaslighting their own supporters. Why are they doing this? It makes no sense.
Before I bring you in, Mick, let me just finish with these comments. John says Kevin Thelwell must think he's safely in with the bricks at Ibrox now. Nepotism at its best. He says it's the gift that keeps on giving. Who writes their script? And friend of the show, Rangers Easy OK, says this takeover was meant to be the start of a new dawn for us. I must say, all excitement has been drained, and we've only hit October. We have Everton's full recruitment team and a chief executive who was at Man United, two of the worst run clubs in England the past decade. More cheap championship dross and Premier League cast-offs incoming. Ibrox will be empty come Christmas.
Well, I did say Rangers Easy OK. It was likely to get worse before it get better, and I've been banging that particular line out for a while. At various points, you think, well, this is probably reaching towards the rock bottom period. Maybe this reshuffle is where we are with that now. Maybe this is effectively rock bottom.
We've actually got joining us online now, fresh from the Rangers press conference. Sorry, I keep saying I'm going to bring back in any minute, and then I keep delaying it. Sorry,
I can't wait for a fish supper here.
Sorry, we get Scott McDermott joining us live from Austria after the Rangers presser. We're obviously, Scott, just talking about the news about Robbie Thelwell.
Yeah, and Russell Martin's just addressed that news, Daniel, at his pre-match press conference. Listen, he was very honest and open about it. He's backed the move. Said no one's more aware of how that appointment might look than Kevin Thelwell, but he's adamant that no, this decision wouldn't have been made if it wasn't for the best, if it wasn't in Rangers' best interests. Russell Martin says the club needs change, right across the board in every department. He did say, by the way, that it's obviously, he's had no say in this because it's not really in his remit. He's left it to Kevin Thelwell, Dan Purdy, Patrick Stewart and others, but no, he's in favour of it. He says that he's spoken to people at Norwich who know Kevin Thelwell's son very well, rate him really highly, and he's convinced that no one will get a job at Ibrox unless they deserve it.
What do you think of that, Keith?
Listen, I'm speechless, to be perfectly honest with you. I've heard Russell Martin try to justify his own decisions. I've heard him try to tell Rangers supporters that they're watching white when actually they're watching black. I've heard him say that Rangers were brilliant in the first half at Livingston the other day. I'm afraid it's not just me. I think the bigger problem for Russell Martin, for Rangers, for this whole sort of managerial structure at the minute is that the fans just won't buy it. Russell Martin says this guy's a good guy. Right, okay, Russell. 26-year-old, you've just put him in charge of your head of recruitment. No, I'm sorry, it won't wash. And Scott, are you buying it?
No, listen, I don't think it looks great at all, Jacko, let's be honest. And going with the fan reaction when the news broke today, you can tell exactly what the support. I mean, it's almost like the club's making decisions to, as if they can't anger the fans even more. They just keep making these decisions. It's strange. Look, if you're going to appoint a head of recruitment, then there's obviously got to be a thorough process. The guy that gets that job has to merit it. He has to be the best qualified for the job. And looking at
he was the best qualified member of the Thelwell family.
Looking at Robbie Thelwell's CV, I mean, clearly, as you say, young, inexperienced. And the other thing that I would question, Daniel, is it seems to me it's yet another appointment in the recruitment department, of someone, who might not or probably doesn't know what's required to be a Rangers player. I think that's the big. I think you have to have people in that department who have experience of this club, have experience of the demands, the expectations, have some kind of understanding of exactly what's required physically and mentally to be a Rangers player. And I'm not sure there's enough people in that department that have got that. And these couple of new appointments on top of Kevin Thelwell and Dan Purdy, I don't think we can have that. I mean, that's clear. And the other thing is, people are questioning Kevin Thelwell's recruitment at the moment, and it looks patchy, obviously, going with results and performances. Of course, you have to give these players a bit more time before you make proper judgments on them. But I'm just surprised that the owners seem to have given Kevin Thelwell this kind of leeway to go and appoint more people that obviously knows from Everton when there are serious doubts about the summer recruitment. And I thought they'd like to have waited to see how these new players have got on, because it doesn't look great. It's not been a great start for them.
I tell you another thing, Scott, when you're thinking about it, Niels Coppen, not everybody's cup of tea, and understandably so. I don't think he was very good at what he did. But how many jobs now? That's 4 people covering the one job that Niels Coppen had.
Yep.
At least Niels Coppen can point to an Eager Man, a Jeff Day. Rangers managed to turn a wee profit there, albeit they used the Eager Man money to buy Chamiti from Everton. I don't know how you begin to even justify it. They are creating new roles, filling them with family members and old pals from Everton. I think it's absolutely staggering. I think it's actually insulting to the Rangers supporters, this.
And also, Keith, I mean, Kevin Thelwell went on record when the transfer window closed, basically admitting that they've shopped in the English market because it's the market they know best. And if you were making more appointments to the recruitment team, you'd have thought they might want to look further afield,
broaden some horizons.
Yeah, but it looks like Rangers when they plucked an Eager Man from relative obscurity. So with these appointments, obviously been at Everton, Kevin Thelwell's son previously worked at Villa and Norwich, I think, as a scout. So again, you think primarily the markets that they'll be working in will be the English market, and fans don't seem happy with that at the moment. But it looks as if they're going to continue going down that
Double
road.
down.
Yeah.
Scott, really appreciate you joining us all the way from Graz, and it's the second time I've pestered you to come on today, so it's much appreciated.
No worries. Cheers, Daniel.
Cheers, Scott. Obviously, we've talked a lot about Rangers so far, but maybe we should visit in Celtic. If you want to get your comments in, please keep them coming in as well. I'll try and put them up on the screen. But Celtic,
can I just give you one last line on Rangers, right? Because this should calm everybody down. James Monty will join as Data Insights lead this month, having worked at Dundee United, Huddle, and StatsBomb. Monty will be charged with embedding data and intelligence in football decision-making. So, panic over, guys.
That's what they needed, a good embedder of data. Anyway.
I'm sorry, but oh my God. It's, and do you know something? I actually feel sorry for the Rangers supporters because they've been through so much. I think they were excited, and rightly so, when Andrew Kavanagh and the Americans come into town. I still believe that they will be good for Rangers in the long term. I did say there's probably going to be some mistakes made along the way. But right now, for the Rangers fans, having been through everything they've been through over the last decade or so, thinking finally that'll be the end of the banter years. And now this.
Seems they're alive and well.
Yeah.
Well, on Celtic though, Mick, let me bring you in finally. Brendan Rodgers has spoke today ahead of tomorrow night's game against Braga. What was he saying?
Listen, I'm just still stunned at this guy, Thelwell Jr. is 26 years old. I mean, talent sport at 26 usually dancing at 3 o'clock in the morning. My goodness, 26.
Occasional slide tackle in the kebab shop at 3.
Oh, 26 years old. That's ridiculous, man. Yeah, Celtic. Aye, it was quite a kind of subdued kind of pre-match press conference. There's still very much a kind of after the Lord Mayor's show kind of this season, and this Europa League campaign is kind of like the kind of lesser kind of lights than the Champions League. It's still hanging over Celtic. There's no escaping it. The backdrop is this silent protest thing going on. Obviously, it's escalating tomorrow night. 29 minutes of silence apparently from kickoff. How that goes down or how it works out, we don't really know. It didn't really make much impact in terms of the 12 minutes on Saturday against Hibs. But it's kind of there because obviously a European night at Celtic Park is kind of renowned for the atmosphere. That's Celtic's thing really. So you take that away from the equation, and it is a talking point. So I mean that's what Rodgers was asked about. Like, what does it change for him, or how does he cope with it? How does the team deal with it? What does it mean for the opposition team? Who we've seen teams coming here and been a bit spooked by it, to be honest. So it's been a kind of, listen, Rodgers is kind of appealing for kind of unity, and he hopes that eventually everyone can kiss and make up. But it's still saying,
was he asking for the fans to bury the hatchet with the board today?
No. He's an expert at dancing through minefield, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically saying, I understand why they're upset. Brackets, because I am too. But hopefully, at some point soon, we can all be together again and a big happy family, and everyone's lovey dovey again. But he understands the reasons why some of the fans are unhappy, because it's the same reasons he's unhappy. I mean, so he's not going to say they're wrong, guys. Just ditch the protests and come back on board. But at the same time, he would like to have Celtic Park at its best on a European night, intimidating visiting teams, inspiring his own team, and just creating an all-round environment that these teams have in the past. They're flourished. We look back, we talked about it as well. Look back about a year ago to the kind of Leipzig game here, when Celtic, the atmosphere was rocking, the performance was energetic. It was everything he wanted to see. And you go on 11 months and you think that Celtic's now kind of gone. They're still kind of desperately searching for a kind of winning formula. They're not scoring goals. I'm not saying they're not scoring the same volume of goals, but it's just not the same Celtic as it was 10, 12, 11 months ago. Or even you can get back to kind of January, February. So it's a wee bit of a kind of, I'm not saying a miserable kind of environment right now, but it's a bit low key. It's a bit kind of down the dumps. It's a bit kind of, okay, well, let's try and give us a bash in the Europa League, but I wouldn't say it's like a thriller-minute environment right now at Celtic. It remains to see how this protest will go tomorrow night. I can't see what good. I mean, to be honest with you, if you're the Celtic board and they're saying we're going to be silent for half an hour, and they're not going to be quite happy that the fans are quite silent, at least they're not shouting "Thank the board." So I don't think that's going to have an impact. Listen, if it goes badly wrong and during that period, then maybe that you could say that's an influence. I don't think you can blame that on the pitch either, because Celtic have got a team. There's no excuses really in terms of the atmosphere. It's a bit of a side show. I just think that this is not going to go away for the Celtic board. This anger and kind of standoff is not going to go away. But I think what's going to happen is I think results might keep it going rather than these kind of ideas about protesting. So I don't think these are going to have much impact. But if there's a few bumps on the road, which I think there will be with this team, then it's going to heighten again. So it's not going anywhere, is it? Really?
No. This is the thing.
What will happen if Celtic go and score 2 goals in the first 20 minutes tomorrow night? That's going to be a weird situation.
I was going to say, what do you need to do? Put your hand over your mouth? Leave the stadium?
No, listen. I think the kind of advice is from these kind of from the Celtic Collective that put out this kind of idea. This group of fans groups. I think it's you can cheer a goal, you can clap, you can talk. It's not a sponsored silence. I mean, I think it's just they're not going to be singing any songs or banging drums and all that kind of stuff. So again, it's a bit. I don't think this is it. I mean, I get the right to protest, and there's various ways of doing it. I'm not sure this is going to be the most effective one. I think results on the pitch might ramp things up if it goes wrong. If it goes right, you might see the kind of protest thing going by the wayside until the next bump in the road. But yeah, so it's a wee bit kind of a bit cloudy just now, isn't it?
You're not alone, Mick, and not kind of seeing not buying into the silent protest. A lot of comments coming in from Celtic fans now. Let me throw a few of them at you. John says the silent protest won't help the team in the park tomorrow night. We need another way to protest at the board. Red cards to the board, he asks. Stephen says, there are other ways to get to the board, but silence is a big no for me. John again says other fan groups will break the silence and get behind the team. And just aside from that, Rab says Rodgers gave up in February, should put his notice in, gone in the summer. Same with the board. And this one that I just liked, Rebel, who's a regular on the show, says Brendan likes Mick. He always replies with Michael before he replies. He likes you, Mick. So there you go.
I don't know. Who knows?
He does give you plenty of name checks, Mick. You're right.
It's just because
a very close relationship you've got with.
Just because I've been pestering him for the best part of 10 years. So it's familiarity breeding contempt, probably. But listen, I don't think there's a unity in the stands in terms of the silent protest. I think everyone's on board with it. And a lot of people, a lot of Celtic fans are angry, disappointed, just in general, I've fallen in love with the board.
Scunnered.
They just want to go to the game and enjoy the football, though.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be some sort of detachment from that. They want to go to the game and have the experiences that they usually go to the game, especially a European night, which are usually good fun in these parts. So yeah, it's a bit of a kind of jumbled up mess at the moment in terms of on and off the pitch at Celtic. And in the background, they've got a pretty tough European tie to deal with, and they need to get a kind of win, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, Mike. In our business, in the newspaper business, there's an old kind of, it's a bit cynical probably, but there's an old line: if a newspaper is thinking about launching a campaign, then there's an old rule that is applied: never launch a campaign if you don't think you're going to be winning it. If you can't win, if you're not almost certain that you will win it. And I think this one's a difficult one for the Celtic supporters. This is their campaign. And if your manager is going out in front of cameras, microphones, with his hair on fire saying, I'm getting leaked against, there's somebody in this club leaking against me and I want him found out and I want him escorted off the premises and I want him to resign. And if the manager coming out and saying that doesn't end in change and doesn't end with somebody's head rolling, what chance have the fans got by going and doing anything for 29 minutes? That to me, if Brendan Rodgers by doing that can't affect change in the boardroom, this protest ain't got to do it either.
Well, that's the thing. I think there is a kind of feeling amongst a lot of supporters that a bit of kind of how futile it actually might be. That the Celtic board are pretty entrenched. And listen, they will come back and say they've delivered 13 out of 14 league titles, countless cups, the Champions League and all that stuff. I think they've underperformed in Europe. There's no doubt about that. But they will say there's been a period of dominance in Scotland like unseen before.
Correctly so, mate.
Aye, so they were thinking, why should we step down because the fans aren't happy we spent a certain amount of money or when they spent it, and they've kind of come out and backstepped on their that kind of 9 o'clock 3 bottles of wine statement that came out a couple of weeks ago. They kind of took a back step with the kind of statements and the financial figures a wee bit. The usual lessons to be learned and all that stuff, and things didn't quite go to plan, but usual stuff. So the chances of the people, I mean, they're calling for the heads of Peter Lawwell, Michael Nicholson, poor Chris Mackay getting dragged into it as well. Finance director. McDermott Desmond's the man in charge. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. So there's a certain kind of futility about it, I think. And a lot of fans recognise that as well. So they're trying to do different things to see if they can put pressure on these guys in the positions of power. But when it gets them, I'm not entirely sure. The Celtic board have been experts at kind of riding out storms. They had it the COVID season. They can batten down the hatches and just ride it out and hope the results take over at some point. And it's kind of worked for them. Anytime they hit a bumpy patch, they've been bailed out by success on the pitch, trophies, main flag days, celebrations, cup wins, the odd European result here and there. At this point in time, I think the cycle has to be broken. I think there is a kind of feeling that we're not buying that anymore. The cup wins, the league wins, and all that stuff, because there has to be some sign of ambition at the club. They have to do better in Europe because they're fed up getting embarrassed at the highest level. So unless Celtic go a run to the kind of semi-finals of the Europa League this year, I don't think it's going to go away. I don't think they're equipped to do that this year in the Europa League. So, yeah, it's a bit of an impasse. Where it goes, I don't know. I just get the feel this is going to be a grumpy season in general for everyone at Celtic Park.
Just before we let you go, Mick, because I know you've been standing there what must feel like half your life, will it be a big attendance tomorrow, given it's a 5:45 kickoff, and obviously the aforementioned protests, and also your prediction? How do you think it'll go?
I don't think it'll be quite a full house. I think there'll be a few empty seats, but I think there'll be more people than some people think. I think the prediction's about 30,000, 40,000. No, I think there'll be 45, 50 plus maybe. I think there'll be a good crowd. I think a lot of people, people underestimate how much just people just want to go to football and enjoy a game of football. Do you know what I mean? Without the politics, just want to go to a game and enjoy a game. So I think we thought this at the start of the season. I remember the Newcastle friendly. Like, nobody's going to go to it. They're charging for it, not stuff. 45,000 at it.
Yeah.
The cup tie against Falkirk. Nobody's going to go to it. They're angry at the lack of signings. 50,000 at it. 55,000 at it. So the hunger for people going to watch their team playing football will take over the kind of the politics stuff. So a good crowd. I think 50 plus, which if they're 5:45 on a Thursday night, I think will be decent. Could be wrong, but I think at the moment they're looking like 50 plus. Will be there. Kind of predictions, I don't know, because listen, Braga have been kind of struggling in Portugal. The manager's up against it. Then they go and pull out a result like last week against Feyenoord. I mean, Feyenoord, who are a right good team at the moment, they pull a cracking result at the bag against them. So you're like, well, they can't be any mugs. It's going to be a strange game. They're very much a kind of Portuguese kind of 3-4-3. Shades of Ruben Amorim, isn't it? I think they're slightly more reductive than his 3-4-3, but they like to keep the ball. It's going to be. It could be a frustrating night for Celtic. If this team come and start hogging possession early on against this kind of silent protest backdrop, it could get into a really sticky night for Celtic. In normal circumstances, with a big atmosphere, a fast start, etc., I think Celtic would be comfortable, not comfortable, but they would be good favourites to get 3 points. I think they'll struggle tomorrow night. I think Celtic are still not convinced that they've got a kind of this winning formula yet. I think they struggle. A different kind of game to kind of most domestic games, and also the Kairat game. They're not going to play against 10 men behind the ball who are trying to play for a draw. Braga will come and try and win, so which might give them a bit more space, which might give the likes of kind of Tunekti and Daizen Maeda, who probably play the right, a bit more room. Does any actual start up front? Maybe has to start this time. Yeah, I think so. So they might get a bit more joy in terms of attacking, which might actually help them. But I still think it's going to be a sticky game. It wouldn't surprise me if it was a draw again, because Celtic this season have been draw specialists. Obviously, is it 5 out of 6? I wouldn't be surprised with another draw. And I'm just trying to frantically remember what I put in the paper for my prediction. Because every time I do this, I change my mind. I get picked up on it. So I think I said a draw in the paper. So I'm sticking with what I said.
We'll stick with that. Stephen in the comments says, "Poor Mickey looks freezing. Shaming us for not giving you a bunnet." So we'll let you get up the road, Mick. And
it's not too cold. But I think it's going to bucket down the minute. It's going to get soaked. That's why
I think you've done well there, Mick. There's some Storm Amy's on its way. I thought you would have get absolute washed out.
Well, I can feel it brewing. They can feel the temperature and the atmospheric pressure changing to the atmosphere. So any second there, I'm going to get absolutely soaked.
It's in the post. But no, Mick, thanks again for joining us. It's always class having you in the Hotline Live.
No worries, guys. Catch you later on.
Cheers, Mick.
Before we talk or we leave Celtic, Keith, how do you see the game going tomorrow night? Do you think Mick's right and he's saying it'll be difficult?
I had the luxury. I also forgot what I tipped in the paper, but while Mick was talking there, I managed to just go and check what I'd sent in earlier. I've gone with 2-0 Celtic. I think it's far from ideal. I think the circumstances around it, the atmosphere, will make it all feel a little bit surreal. I think that's a real shame because Celtic Park, Ibrox on European nights, they're great places to be. You can plug yourself into the electricity around both stadiums, and I think it's just such a shame that the clubs have created such a schism between themselves and their own support right now that we're missing out on that. And I think the players will miss out on that because I really do think that they thrive on it. I don't think it's too much of an intimidatory factor for visitors. I genuinely believe it gives the home side, Celtic or Rangers, that extra shot in the arm, just that little bit of energy, adds to the feeling of intensity. And before you know it, if you don't know quite what you're walking into here and Celtic and Rangers come flying out the traps at you, you can be in a bit of trouble. We've seen it time and time again with big teams, with players with loads of experience. So I think that's certainly going to be a disadvantage from Celtic's perspective and an advantage for Braga. But I still think what I've seen from Celtic just over the last couple of weeks, I know it's Partick Thistle, I know it was a 0-0 draw at home to Hibs as well. But Brendan Rodgers has been talking, Daniel, about getting the intensity back into the way that his side open up in games, the energy, the sort of the ability to kind of flow into each other's positions. I've seen more and more of it. I think Celtic are starting to find their feet a little bit, albeit it's been a lot more slow than anybody would have liked them. But I think they're getting there, and I can see. Yeah, I don't think Braga they'll be excellent. Oh, sorry, they won't be excellent. They'll be decent. And yes, Mick's right. The result against Feyenoord last week would kind of lead you to think they'll give Celtic a tough test of it. But I think Celtic have got the quality. I think they've got the manager, and I think he's starting to get his team into the sort of shape that he was hoping it would be weeks ago. For all those reasons, I go 2-0 Celtic.
I know I'm bouncing about the houses here a little bit, but
now you want me to go and check my Rangers prediction
no.
as well?
No, I was going to say, I know we heard from Scott McDermott a little bit earlier on. We obviously talked about Kevin Thelwell and his son at the top of the show, but I did actually catch up with Scott and Andy Newport earlier on today when we didn't talk about the Rangers recruitment team, more about the game tomorrow night and the Rangers team. Will we hear what they had to say earlier on today?
Love to.
Let's have a listen. Joined in the Hotline Live now by Scott McDermott and Andy Newport. Guys, how's things in Austria?
All good, Daniel. Quite cold, colder than we thought, I think, but I don't mind it.
Underclocked it with the jacket.
Actually, I panicked there when I said Austria. I thought it is in Austria, innit? But I thank God. You guys have just been hearing from the Sturm Graz manager ahead of the game tomorrow night. Before we get into that, Andy, the pitch isn't looking great, is it?
No, it's looking a wee bit. I just had a wee sort of jump down to the touchline there to have a look at it. There's some rutted areas, some bomb spots. It looks a bit boggy in places. Probably not the perfect surface for the Martin ball. We're told that the pitch is going to be getting torn up during the international break, but Sturm Graz, they also managed to get a victory at the weekend on it. They're confident they can get through another game on it, but as I say, it doesn't look the greatest surface I've ever seen.
On a serious note, Daniel, it's poor. I mean, it is really rutty. And Rangers are obviously trying to play a certain style at the moment, and I just don't think it's conducive to that, is it?
Yep.
Patches kind of all over the pitch. So I just wonder Russell Martin, and that's due here in a few hours to have a look around before he does his press conference. I genuinely think the pitch might force him to almost kind of change his approach a wee bit in terms of just maybe being a bit more rudimentary in terms of how they go about the game. It's going to be a tough game anyway, but I definitely think the pitch is an issue. Rangers are obviously going to try and would normally try and kind of pass out for the back, but as we're looking at it just now, even in defensive kind of areas out wide, the pitch is poor, so I definitely think it'll be a factor.
That'll be the area that concern me. If you're looking for the centre backs to split wide and take the balls off the goalkeeper, and you look in there, and then if you try to take every first touch will be coming up about your throat. So yeah, that's something I think the manager's going to have to take into consideration.
I just said to Andy there, Daniel, I don't know. No, in terms of this type of game, and then you throw the pitch into it, I just wonder whether Rangers do need to kind of change their approach slightly. You think of how they approached the Celtic game a few weeks ago at Ibrox, where it was a lot safer, a bit more defensive, a lot more compact, just determined to get a clean sheet in that game. I wouldn't blame them for adopting a kind of similar approach to this game. I think a point on the road in Europe is always a decent result. I think they'd probably take that just now, given kind of current form and the circumstances around the manager and the club and the team. So, I just wonder if it will be a bit more defensive, a bit more, as I say, a bit more rudimentary, just in terms of how they go about the game plan.
There was two players that I wanted to get your guys' take on in the Rangers camp. The first one is Mikey Moore, because while you guys have been away, there's been a lot of talk on social media that maybe he could even be going back to Spurs earlier. That's what he wants. Have you heard anything along those lines? And it just seems like a weird deal, the Mikey Moore one, to me.
I've heard the rumours. The club haven't said anything yet. It's maybe something we can put to them later on tonight. But listen, I think it's fair to say he's been underwhelming. So I think you have to give some caveats to that. He's 18 years of age, his first loan spell. He's joined a club that is in the midst of a real, they find themselves in a real hole at the minute, confidence-wise, form-wise. It's difficult for them. But I think the Rangers fans are right to say that what they've seen of Mikey Moore isn't what it was. They haven't seen the player that they thought they were going to get. Somebody that was exciting in the ball, that would be adventurous, that would run at defenders. I think it's helped sometimes with the tactics, Scott. I think a lot of the time he's been asked to sort of come inside and drift inside and sort of form this box in midfield. I just think a lot of times that leaves him running into traffic. I think it would maybe help him more if the task was just simplified from just get yourself at your fullback and get past your fullback. But yeah, listen, I think you see a lot of these academy kids that come up to Scotland and think it's going to be a doddle, frankly, but we've seen so far that it's anything but.
I think you're right, and I just think it's been difficult for him, Daniel. I think there is a top young player in there in Mikey Moore. For what we've seen at Spurs last season, the appearances that he had, he looked so exciting in a team that was attacking, big pitch, playing wide left, going at his opponents. It just feels as if he's not really had that kind of opportunity at Rangers. Just the way the team's set up, he's played in a couple of different positions, he's been in and out. He is a young player, as Andy says, his first loan, coming up to Scotland. Look, he hasn't produced his best form. There's no getting away from that. But this Rangers team hasn't got all the problems that they've had at the start of this season. I think for a young guy, with his first loan, he's probably need to come into a really successful team and a winning team, and where there's a real positivity around the place. And I think that'll have been difficult for him. What I would say is, I'd be disappointed if the rumours were true that he was trying to instigate a return to Spurs, because despite all of those aspects I've just talked about. I think in the long term, this experience probably will do Mikey Moore the world of good, because as a youngster you need to come through a bit of adversity, you need to experience different things. I think just being here, being part of this, working under Russell Martin, whatever you might think of him, I do think it would be good for his development. Now, it would help if Rangers start producing better performances, start winning more games, because I do think you'll then maybe see the best of him. But I think you're right. It's been a really difficult loan spell for him so far for a number of reasons. But as I say, I think it'd be foolish to kind of prematurely end it just now.
And the other one, guys, Yusuf Chermiti. I know he started the game against Genk. Do you think he'll be in the starting lineup tomorrow night?
We had this very discussion earlier on today for the Record Rangers podcast. We think he will start. I can see that. I think there's an element where really the manager's got to prioritise the league, and that means that perhaps in terms of Bojan Majowski, wrapping him up in a bit of cotton wool. But I think as well it's important to give Chermiti the minutes that allow him to play as well into form. I think he's had one start, a couple of appearances off the bench, but I think everyone's still struggling to see where this £8 million fee valuation has come in. I'm not seeing too many signs so far that make me think he's a player that's worth that kind of money, but he needs to be given the opportunity to play his way into form. And it's in Europa League, I think we all agree now that the league has to be the priority for the team this season. They have to find a way to get themselves back onto some kind of even keel in the Premiership and get themselves looking up the table. And if that means keeping certainly Bojan Majowski fit for a Saturday, then I think that has to be what happens. So it wouldn't surprise me, Scott. I think we agreed earlier on that Chermiti starts tomorrow night. I agree.
Listen, does he deserve to start? Probably not. No, from what he's shown so far, Majowski's looked the better bet, and I think they probably knew that when both of them came in. That if there's one you could rely on almost immediately, it would probably be Majowski, just for his experience in the Premiership. So I think he left Majowski out of the Genk game because he had Livingston in mind, Russell Martin. I think it might be a similar scenario here tomorrow night. He's thinking ahead to Falkirk at the weekend, where again you would want Majowski as your main striker. So I agree with Andy, it's probably not on merit, but for Chermiti to have a chance to show what he's all about, he has to play games. He has to get minutes. And I said earlier on in the podcast, maybe, just maybe, depending on how Rangers approach it, as we touched on earlier on, this kind of game might suit him, because he has got pace. He does like to run in behind. If Rangers are going to be a wee bit more defensive, a wee bit more counter-attack, then it might suit Chermiti better, and you can kind of wrap Majowski up for the weekend. So, look, £8 million, he has to start playing games. I think everybody's willing to give him a bit of time. He's still a young player, develop him, trying to improve. But ultimately, Rangers fans want to see what he's all about. So, again, like Andy, I wouldn't be surprised if Russell Martin throws him in here tomorrow night and keeps Majowski for the weekend.
And we're only at 30 seconds left, guys, but predictions, how will it go?
Again, we're just agreeing with each other here. We both went one each the paper tomorrow. So.
Without speaking to each other, I promise. This is me and Jackal. I can't believe it. That's telepathy. No, I think we both went for one each. I think a point would be a decent result. Difficult to see Rangers coming here and winning. I think Sturm Graz is a decent outfit, decent form. So I think if they get a point and get a one each, they'd be relatively happy.
Guys, as always, it's an absolute pleasure. I hope it's a cracker for you.
Cheers, Daniel.
Record Sports, Lauren and Hardy there, Keith.
I hate to tell you, I've also gone 1-1.
I was going to say that as a joke, but there you go.
No, I have. Look, and probably that's the high end of the optimistic scale for Rangers with that. The reason that I think they might get a bit of joy is, as I said to you last night, I think it was last night's show, Daniel, I did see some of Sturm Graz against Midtjylland last week in the opening game. Sturm Graz were all over the place at the back. Now, yes, granted, Rangers have been powder puff going forward, but I think they might just be able to level each other out there, and a point's probably as good a result as Rangers could hope for, actually. But I tell you something, does it not sum up the state of affairs that they're in when the guys are sitting in without a hint of irony talking about wrapping people up in cotton wool for Falkirk at the weekend.
I know.
Doesn't that just sum up where Rangers are right now under Russell Martin and Kevin Thelwell?
I know, it's mad. And before we wrap up, actually, Keith, we haven't mentioned it yet, but Aberdeen are also in action tomorrow night.
Oh, I'm going to need to go and have a look at what I did there now as well.
Well, I mean, we all know it's going to be an extremely tough game against Shakhtar Donetsk. I think I'm right in saying 16 games unbeaten for them. They're obviously, a household name amongst European football fans. It's a bit tawdry though, but I mean, really, this is the last thing that Aberdeen need at the minute, isn't it?
Well, just any game is probably the last thing Aberdeen need right now. Jimmy Tilley has forgotten how to win a game of football. Shakhtar Donetsk have forgotten how to lose a game of football. It all points to a sort of inevitable result there. I've gone 2-0 Shakhtar, but I think I'm probably being kind to Aberdeen. It could be worse than that. Fingers crossed it's not. I just don't see any hope for this Aberdeen side just now. I think they're disappearing up their own conclusion.
In the comments, Stephen says, if they're Laurel and Hardy, what are you two, Dumb and Dumber? And Stephen, in other news, has just been blocked. I think that brings us to the end of tonight's Hotline Live with Record Sport. We'll be back tomorrow night, late
night edition after the 3 games.
10 p.m, the Horlicks special. I always say that. I've never used Horlicks, have you?
Never, no.
No. Okay, we'll stop saying that then. Pyjama party.
I don't use jammies either.
All right, then the late night show.
Right.
Late night show tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Following, as Keith says, the 3 Europa League fixtures involving Scottish teams. We hope you can join us then.
And let's hope for some good news.
Yes, absolutely. 3 victories. Absolutely.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be lovely. Thanks for all the comments as ever. We appreciate it.
I'm not going to put any money on it.
That's exactly what I was thinking there. Thanks for all the comments. Massively appreciate it as ever. And hope you can join us tomorrow night. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow, hopefully.
See you guys.